Sarah Perl just launched an app called Stella just 3 weeks ago. And catch this, she already has 45,000 users, which is unreal. And here's the crazy part, she's not a developer. Now, she probably did use a team, but I guarantee that the team who helped her with this use the same AI tools that you have access to with the power of vibe coding. And listen, I did the exact same thing. I built numerous mini web apps in just 24 hours. Some failed completely, and some did great. Like one specific mini app got as many as 400 downloads. And I did this with zero coding background and no developers and no massive budgets. And today I'm going to show you exactly how this works and how you can do it too. All right, so let's go. And if you're new here, by the way, I'm teaching people how to build and sell AI-powered mini apps. I built multiple apps myself, and I'm showing my students how to do the same. But before we get into the tools and tactics, we need to shift how you think about what you're building, because most people are approaching this completely wrong. So if you're interested in learning more, hit subscribe right now and press that notification bell, and let's dive in. So here's the first mistake that most people make. They think way too big. When they hear app, they immediately think that they need to build something massive with all the bells and whistles. Hundreds of features, thousands of users, and that mental roadblock slows everything down and creates pressure that is just not necessary. So the goal here is actually much simpler. You simply need to identify one specific frustration that a specific group of people already has, and you're gonna build a small web tool that solves it. So you're not trying to create the next Facebook, and you're not trying to raise venture capital. You're just building a focused tool that works. So let me give you an example. I worked on an app that helps people with ADHD, and it helps them reset their day when they feel overwhelmed. And it automatically breaks down large tasks that could be overwhelming into smaller tasks, right? And time-blocked actions. And it doesn't try to be like a full productivity suite. It just focuses on reducing overwhelm in the moment and helping users move from overwhelmed to action without feeling all this friction. And within 2 months, we've had about 400 downloads and roughly about 80 paying customers. And that number is important because it shows you that you don't need millions of users to create a real business. So before that, I had tried to build a real estate house flipping calculator app, and it failed miserably. There was no traction, and to be honest, it's because it was way too complicated. I went way over my head creating a product for a niche that I just don't know much about. So once I shifted towards like much simpler web apps, like a product that solves a specific problem without overcomplicating my idea, everything changed. So this approach changes how you evaluate ideas. Instead of asking like, oh, could this become huge? You ask, that this remove friction in a repeatable way for a defined group of people. And here's why this works right now in 2026. Because AI has changed both sides of the market at the same time. So on one side, information products have been commoditized, like anyone can get advice in seconds. So for instance, right now you can go on ChatGPT and ask for a fitness plan, a meal plan, a budget breakdown, a study schedule, even a very basic business strategy, and you're gonna get it instantly for free. And overall, what that's doing is that it's lowering the perceived value of static content that just explains the steps or what to do. But on the other side, the same AI tools can now help you build like functional mini web apps. And those apps can help automate parts of the process for your potential customers. And this distinction right there, that's what matters. Because information tells someone what steps to follow, but a functional tool reduces the number of steps that they have to manage. And also it helps your audience like solve their problems faster. Because for instance, like a simple manifestation PDF is gonna require the users to read through the affirmation and repeat them, while a manifestation app is gonna help users better visualize their manifestation, or have perhaps like an audio version of the affirmation that they need to repeat, like the Stella app that Sarah just launched a few weeks ago. It's way more interactive and hence more useful. Or you could also do a personalized workout guide. It could simply be an app that looks at what available equipment you have and when you are able to exercise. And then it's gonna help you track consistency over weeks. And so as a result, like the expectations from consumers, it's shifted, right? Because they want tools that help make their life easier, rather than a large document that they have to read, interpret, and fit into their specific needs. Plus static is boring. And that's exactly what Sarah Perl figured out. Now you might say, well, Sarah has like 1 million followers on Instagram and another million or 2 million on TikTok. That makes it way easier. Well, yes and no, right? Having followers definitely helps, but it's not a prerequisite. Like this is not about having a huge following. It's about solving a defined problem in a way that feels immediate and practical for your potential customers. Because the technology that allows this has really matured over the last year. Before that, building even a basic app required either technical skills or money. Now the gap between idea and execution is much thinner. And that's why I'm making this video now, not 2 years ago. The AI infrastructure finally matches the opportunity. So let me walk you through exactly how I approach this, because most people start in the wrong place. So they sit down and try to invent something super original without understanding if there's demand for their idea. So step one, we want to find real demand. So a better approach is understanding what people are already struggling with. And what you can do is go on Reddit to do this. So choose a niche that you understand or you care about. So for instance, let's say like either productivity, anxiety, fitness, dating, personal finance, parenting, like any focused interest area that you have or you know a lot about. And then you're gonna go into that subreddit and scrape to see if there's repeatable problems that people are having with a specific niche. You can also use ChatGPT AI agents to help you scrape different communities and look for recurring problems. So essentially what you're looking for are repeated patterns, like what questions come up frequently? What tools are people using that feel incomplete? What frustrations shows up over and over again. And you can also even use AI to summarize threads and identify common themes. To go through all the information that you found and ask it to summarize like specific problems that are recurring over and over, and that's gonna help you identify common themes. So the goal here is to confirm that there's a real pain point that exists. Then step two is to isolate the core value. So once you identify a recurring problem, you need to resist the urge to design like a super comprehensive solution. Instead, you need to want to fix one specific problem because see, many first-time builders, they overload their initial version with just way too many features because they want to like cover every angle. So a much better approach is to isolate the core problem. So build like 1 to 3 features that address the primary frustration people have, and then leave everything else out. And then make sure that you have a very simple onboarding process so customers can understand what the outcome is when they're using the app. And also this can help them with having like their first early win, and that's gonna help you build momentum because it's gonna also help you create and establish credibility because your app is helping them get clarity and structure. Now, step 3 is designs. Now, there's multiple ways you can do this. The first one is by simply using the code that is vibe coded. So having very simple design that is vibe coded for you. Or the other thing that you can do is actually take screenshots of different apps that have strong design patterns or take references from Pinterest. And then what you wanna do is like you wanna screenshot their onboarding flow. You wanna put together like their layout, their feature screens, and then you bring those into Figma, and then you have a reference board where you can see patterns side by side. And this approach helps you kind of like remove speculation because you're building on patterns that already convert users, right? You're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but you're not copying a single product. You're learning from what consistently works. So step 4 is building with AI. So then comes the build phase. So I take the design reference and then I describe the functionality to an AI coding tool like Claude, for instance. And then I explain specifically what I want each screen to do and what the outcomes should be. And then AI generates the code for me, and then I test it. And then if something doesn't work, I go back, I explain the issue, and I reiterate. And so I keep going through that loop until I have something that's working. So really, the goal here is to have a core loop that's functioning, making sure that the app is functional for you. And then you can refine after you validate. And so what I see a lot happen is that many people delay the launch because they want everything super polished. And then usually what happens is that it slows down their momentum without improving the outcome. So I built my first app in just 24 hours. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. And that's what mattered. And then you go back and you refine as needed. Now, again, you have to make sure that your app is functional, right? I'm not saying to just like put something out there that doesn't work because it's gonna ruin your reputation. You want something that's working, but having a minimal viable product is just fine. So there are 2 straightforward monetization paths for many web apps. So option number 1 is one-time fee that you can charge like anywhere between $7 to even $97. It really depends on the depth of the value that you provide. I always encourage that you start with lower simply because you wanna ensure that there's proof, you wanna validate demand, and especially if it's your first time launching, right? And you don't have any coding experience. So make sure that you start with like a lower price bracket. Now, option 2 is simply giving your mini web app for free. And this can be a great way for you to generate leads, where you have the core functionality as well for free, and then you have maybe some of the advanced feature as part of a subscription. And for utility apps, like freemium often works really well because users can experience the benefit before committing financially. Again, you don't need a massive audience. A few hundred paying customers is already going to help you generate real revenue. And listen, the numbers are practical. Like 300 users at $10 per month, you can easily make like 3,000 monthly RRR. Or 1,000 users could be $10,000. And yeah, obviously it doesn't happen overnight, right? You need to have a marketing plan, you need to make sure that there's enough demand, but this model works at a small scale when the value is crystal clear. So people will often ask, okay, great, well, which tool should I use? Claude is, for instance, conversational and works well if you want to describe functionality in a natural language. Cursor integrates more deeply into coding environments and gives you more control. Replit or Bolt allow fast prototyping with live preview. And Lovable focuses on simplicity and ease to use for non-technical users. And then there's also Canva's code, which is very convenient if you are already designing inside Canva, through it is more limited. And again, like the most important factor, it's not the tool, but it's starting. Because hands-on experience will clarify what you need more than extended comparison research, right? So I encourage you to test out all these different tools and see what works for you. So if you don't have an audience, you can still generate traction. You can do that by simply borrowing distribution instead of waiting to build your own email list from scratch. So for instance, strategy number one could be going after micro creators in your niche who already have an engaged community. Look for people who have like 10K, 50K, or 100K followers and who constantly talk about the exact same problem that your app solves. You can reach out to them, and then you can give them early access to premium features or lifetime access, and then simply let them try it. If the tool helps their audience, then you can do a revenue split, or you can provide them the resource in exchange for email addresses. This is a good way to get started and gain momentum. Now, strategy number two is threads. So personally, I love threads, and this is how I personally like to test new apps that I launch. Because unlike popular belief, threads is actually a very strong organic channel right now, especially for builders. So instead of obviously posting, hey, download my app, you break down the problem that people have publicly. You share what you learn from researching on Reddit or your personal experience. You talk about the mistakes people make when trying to solve the issue, and then you document the build process. And the good thing is that actually Threads is going to reward you being consistent and providing your insights. So when you position yourselves as someone building solutions in real time, curiosity is obviously going to build naturally. And then when you mention the app, it's going to feel more contextual rather than promotional. So if you want to learn my exact strategy for using Threads for marketing and sales, watch this video next. So when the app solves a real and recurring frustration, marketing becomes more about clarity than actual persuasion. And your job is to make the value option obvious. So before, building software was expensive and out of reach for most people. Now, anyone can create a functional mini app in a weekend with AI. This means more people can be part of building digital products. And right now is a rare moment in history when simple focused apps can get attention. And as more people start building, competition will increase and expectations will rise. So the smartest move is to use this window of opportunity to validate ideas and gain traction before the market becomes crowded. So here's a simple next step. Choose a niche that you understand, spend time reading real conversations about real frustrations on Reddit, and identify one recurring problem. And then open your AI tool of choice and describe your minimal solution. And then build the simplest working version, test it and refine it. Now, if you want a structured walkthrough with research prompts, design frameworks, build templates, and live demonstrations, I'm actually launching a community for people building AI-powered mini web apps. And essentially what we'll do inside this community is that we will workshop ideas together, review builds, and iterate in real time. So if that aligns with what you're working on, join the waitlist through the link below for early access. The technology is readily available, the shift is happening, the next step is simply execution. So hit subscribe, drop a comment, and tell me what app you're building, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.